Good morning, guys. It is really windy here in Oklahoma, but that is great in the spring and summer because it does keep the feeling of it being hot down. I don't think we're gonna have the wind die down until later on this afternoon when it's going to be a little bit on the toasty side, and I really don't want to be working in the garden. So hopefully this video turns out well. My garden looked really unkempt. I'm very OCD. I like things taken care of, and things have not been taken care of the last 3 years, and so I'm trying to play catch up. But when you looked at the video, you may have noticed that I have not mowed the yard yet. We are just hitting the phase where the yard needs to be mowed because it's spring and things are starting to grow. But one of my favorite plants is growing, and I wanted to wildcraft or harvest it in the natural world. I use Yarrow and a lot of my herbal salves, and I have a homemade recipe I use that works great. It's antiseptic, antibiotic, and all that. But Yarrow is known for being a great stypic. It stops bleeding, as well as helps increase healing when you have like skin tears and whatnot. So I'm going to show you what Yarrow looks like and explain what I'm doing today. My goal is to harvest as much Yarrow as I can before I have to mow the yard. I do try to use an electric mower around the Yarrow so you don't get the fumes from the gas mowers and whatnot. We have not been able to get Yarrow. I have not tried this year, but the last 3 years I can't buy powdered Yarrow anywhere. The herbal stores haven't been able to get it. So I'm going to show you what the Yarrow looks like and explain what I'm doing today. So I'm going to tell you, if you don't know what you have growing in your yard, always talk to a professional, someone who's done this. I'm working with a botanist, and this plant is Yarrow, and it does look like other plants kind of in this family, so, or in similar families, like the carrot family, which has Queen's Anne's lace and also hemlock, so you have to be really careful. But this is Yarrow, and if you notice, all the little flowers are open, so it's ready to be harvested. So I'm going to cut it right below these leaves, right about where my fingers are. And I have tried before to cut Yarrow and dry it just hanging upside down, and it almost always molds. So I actually bought a dehydrator. So I'm going to cut this because you have to cut it before it gets too hot, because the oils will evaporate. So since I want all those beautiful, wonderful oils in it, I'm going to cut it right after I'm done with this video, leave it in a bowl. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to practice using some strawberries in the dehydrator and see how that turns out until I get it just right, and then I will dehydrate these. But if you look, I have all of these that are not quite open, not quite ready to harvest. But as you look out there, I have many more plants. What I'm going to do is harvest as much as I can before I need to really cut down the grass and mow the yard. And then some of these really nice plants, I'm going to put it in a bed, transplant them, so that I can have a Yarrow, not quite year round, but I have a good quantity of Yarrow as needed. All right, I will do a video in a while and let you know how the dehydrator works. Have a great day, guys. So here is a plate of flower heads. I'm gonna go put them in the shade and then shake them out, make sure I don't take any bugs inside with me. Just so you know, I did not take all the flowers off of this one plant. This is where I got the flowers from. This one plant here, you can see there's lots of them. And you always want to make sure you don't take everything in an area, even if it's in your own yard, because if you take too much, then you won't have any next year. So you need to pick responsibly. And like I said, I'm playing with these to see if I can get them dehydrated correctly. So I don't want to waste all of my yarrow flowers. So here's wishing me good luck. Hopefully I can get this right the first time. Good morning. So we have a bumper crop of yarrow out here that is ready. I'm still not comfortable with my dehydrator, but if I don't cut the yarrow today, we're gonna have to mow soon. I've got some friends coming over to help me mow. So it's cut it and play with the dehydrator today. It's kind of the do or die thing. So I'm out here and I'm gonna show you, when I say a bumper crop of yarrow, I mean it is all over the yard. I'm gonna have plenty. The only thing is to dry it correctly. So I'm gonna show you a quick shot of some of the yarrow and then I will let you know how it goes. Have a great day. I don't know if you can see this field out here. It used to be a garden area and we found out it got way too wet, so I'm gonna have to find actual water-loving plants. We loaned our lawnmower out, and that's my dog who loves running around the yard. Loaned our lawnmower out, so in return, when he brings it back, he's gonna mow the yard for me. So I will push mow around the house, but that's not happening for 5 acres. So, but we have this beautiful bumper crop of yarrow. I will need to put some boots on before I go out there because, like I said, it is wet and we do have snakes. So, but I have yarrow all over the yard and it's ready to harvest. And when I say ready to harvest, the flowers are big, white, and open. And so that's just beautiful. And you can use that to stop bleeding for people who are working in the yard and they get hurt. And I actually have wild amaranth as well here, which is another great plant if you're looking at wildcrafting. There are tons of videos of what to do with amaranth. I haven't done it yet, but I do know I have amaranth here. So, and it's that grain-like plant right there. All right, well, have a good day and we'll see what happens. Hi guys, so now we're back in my kitchen. I collected a ton of yarrow, and the funny thing is I have a plate piled high and I only took it from about a 10-foot square area, and I've got 5 acres, so there's gonna be a lot of yarrow to harvest. But I have done all the research I can do at this point. At this point, I just kind of have to jump in, and I have plenty of yarrow. I have to keep telling myself that. So even if I make a mistake and have to throw it out because I overcook it or whatever, I'm good. I've never used a dehydrator, so this is going to be a learning experience for me. And so I'm doing small batches till I figure out how low can I get the dehydrator and how long I need to cook it. All of my research says as low as possible for 3 to 4 hours. So we'll see how this works. Let me turn the camera around and show you what I got. So this is the Magic Mill. I don't know if you can read it there. Dehydrator. And everything I read says to make a thin layer of yarrow. And in yarrow, you're going to tend to use the flower heads and the leaves. So what you're seeing here is flower heads, and I've flattened them out and I've kind of space them out. I'm going to put a couple more layers, but I don't want to do too much in case I do it wrong and have to throw it all out. My next batch or two, after I get all the flowers harvested and took care of, would be leaves. Leaves are better for grinding up for like a blood stop powder. Yarrow is great at stopping blood. But right now, we're in the season where we're just having all these immense blooms, and I want to harvest as much as possible before that season's over, because here in Oklahoma, once the sun really hits and the heat starts coming out, then the yarrow plants will not produce as many flowers. So I'm going to set this on as low as it goes for 3 hours, and at that time check it and see how the flowers are doing. What I did read says to leave some stem on so the flowers are not getting blown around with the wind in the dehydrator, because they are pretty lightweight and small. And then once the flowers have dried out, then I can take the flower heads off the stems and just put the flower heads in a jar for storage. All right, so wish me luck, and I'll show you what happens when I open this up tomorrow. Good morning, guys. So we're back in the kitchen, and I want to show you my second batch of yarrow. I think I'm finally getting the hang of it, and so I have a couple tips and tricks that I learned. Hold on, I'll turn the camera around and let you see what I got. All right, so this is my second batch. I did learn a very important fact last night. Do not set it overnight so it goes off at 5 o'clock in the morning and wakes your husband up. Not a great idea. But it takes a lot of time to trim up the yarrow. So I started cutting it. And this is a batch I cut yesterday and couldn't fit in the dehydrator. We have a very small house, so I get everything small, which sometimes can mean takes 2 or 3 tries. But I started cutting it very small, close to the umbel, so that the umbrella shape flower, that way I have less to trim off. You're going to use the stem head, and you don't want to crush it until it's time for actual use. So this is what I packaged yesterday. This was my first shot, and I ended up about 7 hours, and I started out at, I think it was 95 degrees Fahrenheit, yes, and then I upped it to 104 degrees Fahrenheit. So I wanted to make sure it all got dry, because if you have any moisture in there, then you're going to have mold. So this time I went ahead and just put it on 7 hours. You can see it's lost some of its color. It's a little bit grayer. Dried is not as good as fresh, but I want to save this for the year. So it is crumbly. I crumbled one up over here. So you can see, you know, when you rub it between your fingers, it crumbles. So that's what you're looking for. Is it nice and dry? I'm also cheating. I'm going to buy some silica gel packets like you find in beef jerky and whatnot. The problem is you have to make sure that it's quality food grade, because a lot of the stuff you can buy at box stores are for preserving flowers, like for dried flower arrangements, and that stuff is very toxic. Things I'm learning. So when you're looking to use silica to preserve your dried flowers, if that's what you use, you want those food packets they're food grade quality. They don't have poisons in them, and also they're in really tough bags so that you're not going to accidentally pop it or anything. And that way, if you leave any moisture in, that should keep it from mold and mildew, and it'll absorb the moisture. So I'm going to batch up all my yarrow. I'm going to go find some clean jars, and I'll see you on the next video. Hey guys, just want to give you a quick update on the yarrow. So this is what I harvested in about 2 weeks off and on, and then dried down. The drying took the longest time. And I do have one small jar of yarrow leaves. They kind of squished in there. The rest are yarrow flowers. So in my mind, you know, that was definitely a win. So what we were buying for $30 to $50 in Oklahoma was this, or sometimes at some stores, just a smaller jar. And for the price of the dehydrator, I got all this. So I definitely saved a lot of money, and I know this is all organic. We didn't use any gas mowers or anything out there. Nothing's been sprayed. So I'm excited for later on when I start making my herbal salve, but I just kind of want to give you a quick update. So there you have it. All right, guys, have a great week, and hope to see you soon.